If you own Embrilliance software, you have at least one level of Stitch Artist and you want to move beyond auto-digitizing, then learning to draw with points is essential. Now, I know that makes some people cringe, but if you understand the basics of them and you practice, you're going to find that drawing with points is manageable. So in today's video, we're going to go back to the basics and we're going to focus on drawing with points. Now, I think these three basic shapes are a perfect place to start when learning to draw with points. So we'll start by going right up to the Create icon and we'll click on it. And then we're going to go right over here to the left and click on this icon. This is the Draw with Points icon. Now, I'm using a Mac, but I'm not using a lot of shortcuts, so I think most of this will be relevant if you're using a PC. But if you'd like me to do a PC version of this, let me know in the comment section below. The three types of points that I use are line, curved, and cusp. And I'm going to use and talk about all three today. So the first thing that I want you to notice, on the top left area of this square, I have this crossbow or crosshairs. And to the bottom and to the right of it, you see a little square. If I move my cursor, the square moves too, so I can't really point it out. But what that little square that's below and to the right of the crosshairs indicates that I'm getting ready to draw with a straight point. Now, I've heard plenty of people say that curve points are the default, and typically that's true. But you can accidentally change it right here, or you can on purpose change it right here. Let me click on this, and you'll notice that this square is going to become a circle. So at this point, I'm back to the real default, and I would be drawing with curves. Because I am drawing on a square, or more importantly, because I'm drawing on straight lines, even if it wasn't a square, I'm going to change my default to squares or to straight lines. Now there's another way to get straight lines if you have the default on circle. Let me show you that first. So if I put my crosshairs right where I want to start and I hold the command button down, the command button is already down, but that still looks like a circle. To see what happens when you press command, you have to barely move this, and you can see now it would be a straight line point. So I'm going to click, go over here. I still have command held down, click. We'll go down here. What if I accidentally let up on command? I have to move this to see it went to a circle or a curve, but all of a sudden I'm going to start getting some wonky stuff. So let me go back. All right, we've backed up. I have command held down, so let's click here. We'll come down to this corner. I still have command held down, still going to be a straight line. We'll click. We'll come over here and click. And then I can let go of command, and to close up my design or my outline, I click right here. So now if I wanted to, I could put stitches on it. Whether it's a run stitch, satin border stitches, it really doesn't matter. Now remember, I did all of that with the curve being my default. Let's delete what I did. This time let's just move it to where the straight line is the default, and now I don't have to use the command button. So we'll click Draw with Points again. We're going to click in each of the corners, and then we'll close it up. Once again, I can put stitches on it, and you can see that drawing straight lines is really easy. All right, let's go over here to the circle. Right now, I'm still defaulted on a square or a straight line. So to get the circle to show up, I have two options. I can either change the default here, or just like last time, to toggle between them. Let me get that there. Okay, to toggle between them, I can hold command down, slightly move my crosshairs, and I see the circle. So I'm going to click here, hold the command down, click here. Now it doesn't look like it's right, but keep going. It's going to fix itself. Click down here, click over to the left, and then let's close it up again. Now that doesn't look so good, but we can fix that. Let's start right here. I'm going to click on this point. Sometimes I might call it a node. They're the same thing, but let's click on this point. And we have these handles. When you use a curved point, these handles show up. They also show up on a cusp, but we'll talk more about that later. To fix this, I can try to drag this up, but notice how the left part of the handle moves in the opposite direction. When you are using a curved point, what you do to one side affects the other side, kind of like a teeter-totter. If I lift the right side up, the left side's going to go down. If the left side goes up, the right side goes down. So that's one feature of it. So I can't really lift that way, but what I can do is, let me get it straight across. I can drag it straight to the right, and notice how that filled out that circle. All right, let's look at this one. When I click on a point, I get its handles and the two handles that are closest to it. That's what shows up. So let's try to just drag this. Well, let me get it. Let's try to drag this handle out, and you can see it filled in that bottom right side. Now when I click on this one, I'm going to have these two handles show up, and then remember the two closest handles. So this one will show up again, and one right here will show up. So we'll click on it, and let's drag it to the left to get that to fill in. We have one more. We'll click on that node or that point and drag that up, and that looks really good. We can put stitches on it. Okay, so I was using curved points. Let me delete this. But it was defaulted to the line point up here. So let's move this to curve, and then I don't have to use command. I can click on draw with points, and I can just draw here, 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 and you always have to close it up. Click right there. Now let's just get it to no stitches, and then once again I'm going to fix those. All right, let's delete that. Notice I only had 4 points there. If you want to, you can add more points than that. Let me show you that. So we'll click on draw with points. We are still on a curve point, so we're drawing with curves. If you click closer together, you're going to have less cleanup to do later. However, sometimes people go overboard, and the more points that you have, the more likely it is that your curves get a little bit lumpy or bumpy. All right, let's close this in. Now, if you're really careful, you can do it, but with a circle or even an oval, you really don't need more than 4 points. And in embroidery, the fewer points you can get away with, the better your machine's going to like it. All right, let's put some stitches on that. So now let's go down to this heart. And this heart is going to introduce a new concept. And that new concept is the use of a cusp. So let's go up and click on Draw on Points. Notice we are still defaulted to a curve point. And let's just start putting some points on this. So let's click here. We'll make our way around. Now that looks straight, but as I continue to add curved points, it's going to change. And we can always go back and fix those. Now by using curves, look at what happened here. Let me go ahead and finish this out, then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, let's go ahead and just close this up. So we have a couple of issues. Notice right here, that doesn't look good, and this doesn't look good. We'll fix this as well, and we'll fix everything. But I want to focus on cusps in this example. So if we go back and we click on this point over here, remember this is just a curve point. So let's click on it. And remember, one of the features is if you slide those handles up or down, you're affecting the other side of the point as well. Well, a cusp has a unique feature in that you can change one handle without affecting the other. So if we go here and we try to fix this, if I drag it down, that kind of fixes the left side, but look at the right side. If I drag this up, we have the opposite effect. So let's go ahead and try to make this a line. To change a point, you make sure it's selected. You can tell it is because it's blue, and then you right click. So first we're going to change this to a line. If I change it to a line, look how bad that looks. Now I can fix this side, but there's nothing that I can do with this point to fix this side. I can go up here and let's see, why does that look like that? Why don't I have a second handle? Let me click on it again. Let me click off and click on it again. And I have no second handle. So let's go ahead and select this again. Right click. Now let's change it to a cusp. Okay, so remember, you get your two handles for your point on a curved point or a cusp point, and then you get the two handles closest to it. So this handle and this handle have nothing to do with the point we're working with. All right, let's go ahead and take this and drag it up to the line. And then we can click this one, we'll drag it up. Notice that left side of it's also changing, but it's staying okay. All right, so that looks pretty good. I would say we have pretty much fixed that issue. Now the exact same issue exists down here. Let's click on it. If I drag this handle up, it fixes the right side, but not the left side. And then if I drag the handle down, it somewhat fixes the left side, but not the right side. Again, if I select it, whoops, and right click, let's change it to a line. It allows me to kind of fix one side, but that other side is still messed up, and you really can't fix it. Let me hit the undo button. Let's get it back to the way it was. Okay, so the best option here is to change that to a cusp. So it is selected, I right-clicked, I'll change it to a cusp, and then I can drag each handle independently of the other one. And then we have to fix it by bringing that in as well. Let me go ahead and fix this one too. And of course, if we were doing this for real, we'd come around here and we would fix all of these as well. So let's delete it and I'll show you how I would draw with points to make this heart. We'll click on Draw with Points. We are defaulted to a curve point. So I'm going to go ahead and down here, notice by my crosshairs, that is an open circle. If I want to make this a cusp, and I do want to make it a cusp, I hold the Shift key down, and then if I just barely slightly move my crosshairs, that circle is going to change to a circle with a line through it. There we go. So we're going to add a cusp here. I'm going to let go of the Shift key, and now I'm just going to use circle points or curve points. We'll go all the way till we get to the top. And then before I make my point here, I'm going to hold the Shift key down. That's going to change that to a cusp. So I have the Shift key held down. Sometimes when you get started and you think, okay, I've hit the Shift key or I've hit the Control key, why didn't my point change? All you have to do is slightly move your crosshair and you can see what you have. So we're going to do a cusp here. I'm going to let go of my Shift key and we're going to keep going around. Now one thing is that Shift key works to add a cusp no matter whether you are defaulted to a curve point or a straight point. So even if you have a straight point defaulted up there to the left, hitting the Shift key will toggle that to a cusp. Now that we're here, let's go right up here and close this up. And you can see it already looks much better. If you want to, you can still fix this a little bit. Say, for example, let's move this cusp over just a little bit to the left. And let me go ahead and click on it again so I can drag the handle in a little bit. That looks good. This side looks good. This issue has to do with one of these. So let's click here. And let's just, okay, let's drag it the other way. And let's drag this one down. And now this part of the heart looks good as well. Of course, just like before, you're going to fix everything else. All right, that looks good. So now I can go back to the original artwork and I can delete it. Now I see a little wonky thing there, so let's fix that. And then let's go ahead and fill this in. For now, let's just use a fill stitch to see how it looks. And that looks good. If you have little things like right here, you can go back and you can fix those points even after you add the stitches. And sometimes that's a good idea to do because once you have those fake stitches on there, you can kind of see a little bit better what it's going to look like. So hopefully this very basic video on points has been helpful. I know that when I really started to understand points, my ability to digitize things really improved. Now, if you have any suggestions on videos you'd like to see in Embrilliance, let me know what those are in the comments below. If I can help you out, I'd be happy to do so. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you in my next video.